into the volleyball? Yeah.
Yes.
That's me.
Wilson!
Wilson!
Hey, Andrew, how do I get the full screen of participants?
You can't.
Where it says
Don't have it
participate.
right now.
You have to turn it on, I guess.
Yeah, you just click the two people at the top that says participants and you'll see a drop down.
Yeah, I have that.
Oh, okay. So at
But we
the
have 28 people. Oh, we don't have it because you
It-
have the
So I can
screen.
see everybody that's there. I'd like to see the
there's
full screen.
so if you go to the screen where your picture is, you should see
Yeah.
you should see a flat pancake, a fat pancake, a hamburger, and then a 9 square, a tic-tac-toe.
Oh, got you. Okay.
Yeah,
Wait,
but
there's
I still
Joe
only
Grid
get
video.
6. I don't get the full screen.
Well, then
Yeah,
you got to
that's it.
drag it across. Steve
Oh.
Whiteson, how are you?
Oh.
Our incoming district governor has just joined us.
Hello, Andrew. How are you?
Hi,
I'm
Steve.
great, Steve.
Nice to see you guys.
It's good to be seen. Does that shirt come with an on-off switch?
So no, I don't know if you remember, but this morning we had a Zoom meeting with the Rotary International President-elect Holger Kanak.
Yes.
And this shirt, actually today I was supposed to be in Honolulu for the convention.
Right.
And I bought this Rotary
Us
shirt.
too.
So there I am. Yes.
You pick an
Hi,
odd
Steve.
year.
Yeah. So
Steve, I have that shirt, Steve. I would have
do?
worn it if I'd known you were going to wear yours today. I should have thought of that.
yeah,
I
I
have-
knew when you were coming, I'd have baked you a cake too, Christine.
And Steve, I'm sorry,
I got one of those, but mine is beige. I like the red a lot better.
Ah, okay.
I apologize for missing the meeting this morning. We had a board meeting, and so I
No problem. It was recorded, so I'm going to send it out as soon as I get the link, and you can share it with your club.
Uh-oh.
How are you guys doing? Are you guys meeting? When will you meet in person? I know we were doing Zoom. Have you heard any word as to what?
No, we haven't. That's going to be up to you, Andy, because we're not going to meet in person
In June.
at any
Yeah.
time in June. So
It's not completely up to me. It's also up to the Center for the Arts.
Yes.
Roy Henderson and I chatted about that a little bit, and anticipating maybe August. The center doesn't think they're going to be open at all in July. So my overly optimistic early July is now mid-January, or I mean mid-August, mid whatever month it is. What month is it? What day is today?
Maybe Mr. Mayor can have some sway here. What do you say, Mayor?
I wouldn't want to hurt people and get them sick either.
no.
Well, if it's in August and I could come to your club for my official visit, I'll wear my shirt.
Very nice.
Here, wash it first.
I'm sure we'll keep social distancing even then.
Aussie, what? Why does he need to wash it?
Yes.
Frank, you looked like you were trying to talk, but we can't hear you.
No, I muted myself there for a while.
Oh, okay.
There's
I was
Jay
talking for you.
Jay Grossman again, and Roy Henderson has joined us. Who else have I missed here? Ken Manell, yay! Justin Gray looking very relaxed. And
Hey, Paul is here.
Jaden. Who's Jaden? Kurt Beyer. Your name is not Jaden.
Oh, well.
So,
Susan,
Andrew, I just took the
Susan.
liberty and unmuted myself because I see there's an opportunity here for a dues payment reminder. So maybe
Yeah,
while
thank
people are
you.
sitting there watching the deal and you know you haven't paid your dues yet, you can write me a check right now and just send it off to the Rotary mailbox, please. I'll now mute.
What is the Rotary mailbox, Ron? Everyone get their pens out.
Is this what the check looks like? I can't remember for sure. A check
It's the
something
like-
like
it's the one you're sending today, yeah.
Okay.
They look like this.
I don't send it because I
PO Box 1822, Escondido, California, 92033.
Nice.
For those of us in vehicles, we probably don't have access to it right now.
I'll
Yeah.
post it on the website and I'll put it in.
Full
the
service
email.
nagger.
I'll put it in an email, please.
Yes, I will. Paul
Well,
McNamara is here. Welcome, Mr. Mayor. All right, we have 38 people, Jan.
Yeah, I just wanted to say to Mr. Mayor how proud we all are of Escondido and your police force. And it was mentioned in the news last night, the top 3 police forces in the San Diego area. Escondido was one of those that was mentioned, and I just, yeah, I know, it's just amazing. So please relay the Rotary Club's appreciation and thanks to your chief. It's well deserved.
Good, Paul.
Thanks.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks, Jen. We are very fortunate to have the police force that we have.
Yep. Yep. Thank goodness. Woo. Okay. It is time to start. So if you would go ahead and move the slide, and if we could have Joe, please give us our invocation. What a beautiful slide.
So today, in the middle of everything that we have been dealing with, I thought that we would, if you would like to, repeat the Lord's Prayer together as our invocation. I will be using the New King James Version we pray this invocation. Let us pray. Our Father in heaven,
Who art in heaven,
hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come,
thy will be
your
done
will be done, on earth as it is in heaven.
heaven.
Give us this day our daily bread,
Bread,
and forgive our debts as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation,
temptation,
but deliver us from the evil one.
for thine.
For yours is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever.
Forever.
Amen.
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 Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you very much. Okay, let's move on. And Steve, since you are joining us, I don't usually invite a guest, but you're kind of more than a guest. So Stephen, would you mind leading us in the pledge?
Oh, thank you, Jan. That's very kind. I appreciate it. Let's put our hands over our hearts and say, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for
for which it stands, one nation,
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Okay, we have a recorded patriotic song that is actually was suggested by Dan Sundquist, and it is a beautiful and timely song. that was extremely moving and extremely appropriate for our time. And let's hope that the words of that song come true. Oh, look who's visiting. We have a visitor here, huh? Come on up. Let's see who you are. Okay, we actually do have a visitor today, a visiting Rotarian. Stephen, you want to just make yourself known again?
Thank you. Yes, thank you. I'm frankly, I'm a dog person, so I left my dog video at home.
Oh,
Thank you, Jan. Thank you, Andy. Thank you for having me up here again, and I look forward to being with you folks in person. On June 29th, which is on Monday, 3 weeks from yesterday, it's the governor's dinner. Marta's had an unbelievable year. I mean, a year that no one would ever want to have. And she's handled it with such grace and dignity and fortitude. She's been a great leader. So we're having a Zoom installation, a governor's dinner, and it should be very exciting for everyone to come. It won't cost anything. So I hope you support Andy as he transitions into leading your club. And I look forward to seeing you guys in person.
thank you, Stephen.
And Jen, we have 2 other guests as well from Hands of Peace.
Yes. And they are?
You go ahead.
Hi, I'm Diana Kutlow. I'll be your speaker today, and I'm delighted to be spending your lunch break with you.
Thank you, Diana.
I'm Deb Lawrence with Hands of Peace, and I am Diana's backup in PowerPoint today.
Awesome. Nice to have you too, Deb. And let me tell you, that's the most important role ever.
Oh, nothing like a little pressure.
Yeah. Well, you and I working together when it comes to, even though we practiced yesterday, that's what I'm worried about.
Yes. You guys will do great. And by the way, Stephen, Andy we all have his back. We will.
They do, yes.
Very, very supportive of him.
And Colleen was amazing last week. Thank you.
Yeah, Jan, somebody has to have Andy's back, honestly.
Yeah, it's either have my back or have bail money. One of the two.
Well, good thing I have your back because I don't have any bail money. Sorry, Christine, go ahead.
I just wanted, I'm wondering if Steve could make an announcement about the international convention.
Oh.
This is such an opportunity for our members to spend no money and really to get the full experience of being at a convention in a way. So can you talk a little bit about that, Steve? Not everyone's on Facebook.
Yeah. If you go to riconvention.org, riconvention.org, you can register for sessions. They have plenary sessions, and they have breakout sessions, 3 breakout sessions a day. And you can register and see the convention and get a sense and a flavor of what a convention is like. The only thing missing will be the hospitality, the house of visitors, but they'll have tremendous speakers and programs. Now, the only thing is that the times are based on Central Standard Time. So I know they have a couple that I'm going to go to at 8:00 a.m., which would be 6 a.m. our time. I'm just going to get up and watch and listen to the breakout sessions. But Rotary always has top-notch speakers from around the world presenting, and so it's an opportunity to learn and to grow in Rotary, and to get a flavor for the convention. Next year's convention, hopefully will be in Taipei, Taiwan. And, it was supposed to be in Honolulu now. It started 2 days ago, would have started 2 days ago and been over by Thursday. But this convention is June 20th, which I think is on Saturday, and runs till June 26th. So that's our timeline. The convention after Taipei is in Houston, Texas. So if you haven't been to a convention, Houston is not all that far to travel to go have the full experience of being at a convention and seeing Rotarians from around the world. It's very thrilling to see Rotarians in their native dress, to meet Rotarians from around the world, to share projects and ideas with them and to learn. It's really is a great experience. So if you put it on your to-do list, that would be my suggestion. And I think you'll get a flavor for the convention on Zoom. So there you have it, Christine.
Great,
Coming up very soon.
That's great. And anybody who gets to go to Taipei, that was my first Rotary International Convention in Taipei years ago. What a treat. So I hope we have some folks who are able to go. It's fabulous. Okay. Well, now that we have introduced our visitors, it is time to sing the Howdy song. Have you here? The sound we sing is loud and clear.
Enjoy the program and won't you
back
to
back again.
I can't hear Jay singing.
We're
I
getting
gotta
better.
say, I miss Dick Daniels so much. I wish he'd join us.
I know. Next time he has to sing it all by himself. Okay. Next week is Irv Erdos. He is always a joy when he takes over the program. Haven House is on the 17th. Rotary Has Talent, our talent show on the 23rd, and boy, do we have talent in this club. So that ought to be really fun. I am very much looking forward to June 30th because I want to know how you can make money easy. So Keith is going to tell us all about it. So very much looking forward to that. July 1st, again, Haven House. The 7th is Escondido Education in COVID-19. The 14th is Robin Douglas, who's from the Oceanside Museum of Art. Also on the 14th is Andy's first board meeting.
Woohoo!
Yay! And the 15th is Haven House again. So lots to look forward to as the months go on. Do we have any member moments today?
I thought I saw Miss Michelle here. Did I not see Michelle come?
No?
No? Okay.
All right. All right. Well, the news on, just go back to member moment a second. And the news on Pat Reno that we last got was positive, that she's doing well, recuperating from her surgery. And so we look forward to seeing her again in the future. Okay.
I just got a message to remind everybody that if you want your nickname changed by the private naming committee,
yes,
or the super secret naming committee, please let me know, because we've got the book coming out here very shortly, and Charito's done a heck of a job on it, and we don't want to jam her down at the very last minute and try and force her to overcome our lack of planning. As I used to say in the fire department, lack of planning on your part is not really an emergency for me.
Yeah, there you go. All right, thank you. Let's move on. All right, Ron had a chance to say this earlier, but please, please, please get your dues in. Bill Smith has his check in hand that he was sharing earlier. So please get that in so that we can get the roster completed, that we can pay RI, that we can pay our district dues. Just make sure that that money is in and in the bank.
Jan?
Of course, we take credit cards. Yes.
Yeah, if I could, in regards to district dues, one of the things Andy voted on with for my budget is that we are not going to charge district dues for the months of July and August. So the members and the clubs will have 2 months of no dues for July and August. So to reduce, given everything with the pandemic. So just want you to know, but we tried to pitch RI to also do the same thing, and their overhead is much greater than ours, so they're not.
Well, thank you so much for doing that. We really, really appreciate that leadership on the district level. So, but nonetheless, that doesn't give our members the same opportunity. We need your dues in. So thank you all.
All right.
Okay. So birthdays. Frank, are you ready to tell us about our birthdays this month?
Oh, you bet. We want to wish a happy birthday to all the Rotarians who had birthdays in June, including Jose Garcia, who we know as Padre, whose birthday was on June 4th. Paul McNamara, who we know as Mac, was on June 5th. Denise Litriel, who we know just as Denise, was on June 5th. George Weir, rock and roller, was on June 5th. Irv Erdos, otherwise known as Esther, was on June 6th. Susie Snow White was on June 7th. Richard Grinnell, who's also known as Sleepy, was on June 8th. Greenstein. What did I say? Ron Smith, known as Hippie, on June 17th. Peter Sidoric. Peter is coming up on June 25th. And Michelle Sullivan, the Bionic Woman, coming up on June 29th.
Great.
And the birthstones for June is a pearl, and the flower for June is a rose. So with that, let's all of us sing a very, very happy birthday song to our Rotarian birthdays. Go.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Rotarian. Happy birthday to you. All right.
Cake is coming.
Hey, Justin, stop seizing, okay? Don't have a seizure when we sing like that, okay?
Thank you very much, Frank. Okay, Andy, in the wild.
I'll do this as quick as I can. We need to get moving. So Justin and Alex went out to the desert and made Mexican flags on the plants, apparently.
Yep.
Oh, look at this.
Oh, puppy.
Yes, the one member of the Moore family who is not graduated from NAU.
Jeff finally has a sister.
Luis, Rankin, and Barra out there celebrating an 8th grade graduation.
Yeah.
And Vate also celebrating an 8th grade graduation. This one's a little more personal, I think.
Yeah.
And here we go. Miss Paulette nailed it. My Saturday was going pretty well till I realized it was Sunday.
That's true. Okay.
Oh, and I'm sorry, and celebrating a birthday. That was one of the, Jose actually posted to Facebook about his birthday, and that was really a beautiful, beautiful sentiment. Sorry, I had forgotten that one.
That's nice. Okay, we have a fun song today, huh?
We do.
Go with our fun song.
Miss Christine?
Christine.
All right. Diana, it is a tradition in our club to write the words to a song and to sing it at our club. Usually there's a nice 4-piece orchestra and the club joins us, you know, all the members that are present join. Well, as you've heard previously, that doesn't really work over Zoom. So I'm going to sing it a cappella and, you know, give it my best shot. Okay. She's dreaming about world peace, free of the conflicts that we know. Hands of Peace is one way for world peace someday. It starts with teenage dialogue. Director of Development, Diana. Her passion for world peace won't fade. Teens from Israel and Palestine, U.S. Christian, Jew, and Muslim all meet each year with tales to trade. She came to Hands of Peace qualified from USD's Kroc Institute, worked at CBS Sports and ABC Sports, covered Olympic Games, it's true. She's dreaming about world peace. We wish her dreams may all come true. May her work be fruitful and bright, and may all her challenges be light.
Bravo, bravo.
Beautiful.
Wow, that was
job.
great,
Thank you, Christine. That was wonderful. I'm going to want to get a copy. I'm going to want to get a copy for our Hands of Peace Facebook page.
Oh, of course. I'll send it to you.
That's so much
All
fun.
right, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure as chair of the day to introduce our speaker, Diana Kutlow. She's the Director of Development for Hands of Peace, which is a nonprofit empowering Israeli, Palestinian, and American youth to raise their voices as leaders of change. Diana has a BA in history from Bernard College at Columbia University, a master's in Peace and Justice from the Joan B. Kroc School of Peace Studies at University of San Diego, and a certificate in nonprofit management from USD. Diana joined Hands of Peace after a long tenure at USD's Kroc Institute of Peace and Justice, where she managed the Distinguished Lecture Series, bringing in the Dalai Lama, Senator George Mitchell, Nobel Peace Laureates, and conflict resolution experts. In previous positions at the New York Post, CBS Sports, and ABC Sports, she covered national and international sport events, including several Olympic Games. We're very pleased to have Hands of Peace with us today. So let's welcome Diana.
Thank you so much, Christine. That's very kind of you. And it's
You're
always fun for me to get to know another local Rotary Club, especially the one that I hear is called the Big Club. I didn't know there was one big club in town, but so glad to meet you all. I'm going to try to look in my gallery view and get the answers to a couple quick questions for you. First of all, how many of you already have heard about Hands of Peace, know about Hands of Peace, or have attended a Hands of Peace event at some time? I'm just going to flip through if you would raise your hand. Okay, I see one there. I see another Maggie. Great, okay, I saw another one there. So we've got at least 3 or 4, Nicholas, and others who have seen. I can't see those that are no photo. And how many of you have ever traveled? I know Rotarians are big travelers. How many of you have been to Israel or Palestine? To either one. Okay, I see a couple. Stuart, Stephen, Rick, okay. Great, so we have, it looks like from the hands that I can see, similar numbers, and that's good for me to kind of know where we're coming in terms of knowledge of the region and knowledge of the program. So because a picture tells 1,000 words, I think a video tells 1,000,000. And we're going to start by a video so that some of our young people themselves, including alumni who are now in their 20s and 30s, can share the experiences that they've had about Hands of Peace, and then we can go into a little more detail.
Does the video have sound?
Yes, it should. We'll see which end it's being cut off on.
I think you're muted.
How far will you go?
To laugh, to cry,
To connect with the other side in a way you never thought could happen.
how far will you go to smash everything you could have known or believed into little pieces?
In pursuit of what's possible. How far will you go to take a step forward?
Because if we keep doing things the same way, we'll get the same outcome. How far will you go to take the ultimate action for peace?
I was 14 years old when I first heard of Hands of Peace. It was the first time I heard the other side of the conflict. It opened a route in my life that is still going on today. So in 2018, the situation in Israel was that every few weeks we heard on the news about domestic violence, about a woman who got murdered by a husband, by a brother, by a member of the family. So we opened a Facebook event calling all women to demonstrate and to protest. In Rabin Square here in Tel Aviv, there were 30,000 people. Hands of Peace showed me that it's possible to create a dialogue and to find a way together to change reality.
I think for me, going through Hands of Peace was like standing through a mirror, because I could really, for the first time, hear myself talk out loud about things that I cared about. I've been involved in Hands of Peace since my first year, summer there, 2004, and I feel like I haven't stopped being involved ever since. I've been facilitating for Hands of Peace. I've facilitated regional meetings here and summer programs in the US. For the last 3 consecutive summers. I feel that my choice of medical school was also related to the fact that I want to make a positive change in the world, and that was also part of the reason I joined Hands of Peace. I think going through Hands of Peace taught me that in order for things to change, we have to be active about it. I feel it's part of one family that we're all working to do something different. If it's in the US, in Chicago, San Diego, or here in Tel Aviv, Ramallah, wherever we are, we're trying to make a positive change.
Many Americans see Hands of Peace to be only a summer program, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Hands of Peace is a spark. It's an inspiration, right? It's a call to action to go on a journey. For me, the journey that began with Hands of Peace is one that will continue for the rest of my life. And think about how I can be a change agent. I went to Georgetown School of Foreign Service. I studied Arabic and international political economy. So I ended up writing for Forbes, the Foreign Affairs, the Atlantic, on pieces on how we were going to resolve Syria's hunger crisis or Yemen's water crisis, etc. So one of the things that I had done since business school is actually go to the Gaza Strip, where I served as a volunteer startup incubation bootcamp instructor. Hands of Peace has made it possible for me to truly be a global citizen. What you have to do is look at the change that we're all producing in our own communities, in local organizations, things that are just less visible on the international stage. That's where the change is really happening, and what Hands of Peace encourages you and actually gives you the responsibility to do. So each and every one of you are vital to creating that safe space for our participants to take a leap of faith, to have the impact that they're destined to have in this world.
I hope you all could hear. Not sure about just give me a quick nod, yes or no, if you got most of the content and were able to hear. Okay, good, good. Thank you. So Hands of Peace, as you'll notice from some of the voices there, it's an interfaith organization that empowers young people to raise their voices as leaders of change. And it was founded in Chicago in 2003 in the wake of 9/11. It was a time that three mothers from different religions felt that there was no better time to come together, build bridges of understanding, and break down some of the barriers that were very evident, not just internationally, but in our own communities. They believed, and research has shown, that getting to know the other, whoever that other may be, is the first step towards reducing fear of people who may be different than you. So this year marks our 18th year in Chicago, the home of Rotary International headquarters, and I visited there just last fall to meet with some of your staff there about Rotary fellowships and how our older alumni could get involved in the Rotary Scholars programs. And it's now our 8th year in San Diego. The partnership with Rotary developed when we expanded San Diego, and it has really blossomed since that first year. Just as Rotary is guided by the four-way test, we're guided by our values, and they're actually very similar. We believe that the way to create impactful and leading change is developing young leaders who are committed to freedom, equality, and justice for all. It sounds like they could be Rotary Peace Fellows. These youth tell us that their life has been divided from the time before Hands of Peace and their time after Hands of Peace. And there's a saying that I'm sure many of you have heard in your international work. It's called "nothing about us without us," meaning don't be planning things without us, and make sure that you're listening to us from the field. So I'd like you to take a minute in silence to read the words of some of the young people from each of our 4 delegations. Our overarching goal is breaking down barriers and building understanding, but how do we do that? First, we help youth learn to listen to narratives that are very different than their own. When they first come into the dialogue, they tend to be representing a position or a group or a narrative, and they feel that they absolutely have the right answer to all of the questions. But through dialogue, they come to recognize their similarities when they thought they had nothing in common. And they also learn about different cultures and hear different narratives from their own. The kids from the Middle East also learn a lot about American culture because each one of them stays with American families. And in the process, the participants come to see the Palestinian-Israeli conflict from many different perspectives, where their entire lives they may have been brought up, Americans and Middle Eastern kids alike, with one particular perspective. They also come to understand their own role as a change maker. What can they do about the things that they see in the world that they feel could be improved? So we're nurturing and inspiring empathetic leaders who, like Rotarians, are both locally and globally engaged. And through ongoing alumni programs, they gain the tools and confidence they need to create positive change wherever they end up. And you know, young people these days, they're going all over the world. So we begin with teens ages 15 to 17, Americans, Palestinians from the West Bank and East Jerusalem, Jewish Israelis, and our 4th delegation is the Palestinian citizens of Israel, who don't really fit in with any of those others in some ways. About 25% of the Israeli population is not Jewish, and so these are Palestinians who may be Christian, they may be Muslim, and some of the youth don't identify with any religious group. After the 3-week summer program in the States, where they sit in dialogue every day for 2.5 to 3 hours and do other activities in the afternoons, some come back for a 2nd-year leadership program. And all the alumni are encouraged to attend 3 alumni seminars every year for at least 3 years. One of the things people often ask is what happens when they go home? What happens after they've had these intensive 3 weeks and really gotten to know people they would never be able to meet at home? And research has shown us that if you keep the young people connected through extensive alumni programming like we do, they can hold on to the attitudinal shifts that happen when they're here. So while they're here, they gain an empathy for the other. willingness to have friends from the other side, and a belief that the other side does indeed want peace. And it may surprise you that they don't believe that coming into the program, but that's a real shift that they go through, is recognizing that they do all indeed want peace. We also see a ripple effect when they go home on their families, on their classmates, on their friends. When I was in Nablus in the West Bank for a dinner with our alumni and their families, a Palestinian woman came up and greeted me. And she said, "I don't speak English well, but I came because I wanted to feel what my daughter felt." This deep feeling of possibilities for peace. So that's a lot about the international work, but we also have received a grant from the San Diego Foundation for the last 2 years to do a parallel program with local San Diego youth called Raising Youth Voices. And it may be something that even those of you who know Hands of Peace well aren't aware of. The pilot was last year, and this year we recruited young people from over 15 different schools, provided them with facilitation training done by a professor in the conflict studies program at USD, so that they can lead their own dialogues within their schools and communities. There's so many issues that people want to talk about, need to talk about to come up with solutions. And we just completed the second year's program with a facilitated dialogue where the young people themselves led a conversation about racism with other young people through Zoom. They selected the topic. Originally, we were going to be talking about inequalities in education that happen when education goes virtual. And after the death of George Floyd, they said, no, we need to talk about this now. They created the questions. They reached out to their friends to get other kids to join the conversation. And it was very, very deep and moving. One of the participants said it was helpful to have people from different cultures and backgrounds, even within the San Diego community, come together and share ideas on how we can combat these issues. A local Rotary Club has asked us to do more of these dialogues, and we'll be exploring that possibility with them. So then the question of long-term impact is also one that a lot of people ask about. Can change last? You know, can these changes in their mindset, these willingness to reach out to people different, that does it last when they go home and they're in that exact same environment? Well, we now have over 670 alumni, and they live and work all across the United States, the Middle East, and around the world. Many alumni serve in government, in NGOs, in business, education, as community leaders. And I'm going to give you just a few examples. One of the young Palestinian men who came into the program went on to study in Washington, D.C. became part of the John McCain Fellowship Program. And he's now in the Palestinian Authority's Diplomatic Corps. And you can tell from his meetings with us since then that he has a very different approach coming into that job than he would have without his experience of sitting down face-to-face with Israelis every day. Stav Friedman, who you see pictured here, is an American alumna who went to the Peace Corps when she completed college. Then she moved to Israel, where she founded Plastic Free Israel. It's a grassroots organization that's reducing plastic waste, which if you've been to the region, you know is a huge problem. They don't have the same litter laws and plastic recycling laws and things that we have here. And she's now pursuing a Master's of Science degree in climate change at King's College in London. And she credits Hands of Peace with helping her to see that she could make a contribution through her individual efforts, but also through her collaborative efforts, bringing people together around a common cause. And I recently spoke to an American parent whose daughter has taken a gap year to attend a prestigious fellowship program at the Hartman Institute in Israel. And she's volunteering while she's there with a school that brings together Israeli and Palestinian students called Hand in Hand. We have over 15 alumni right now working and studying in Washington, D.C. on international consulting, public policy, international relations. And one of them went on to learn Arabic after the program and now works with an international consulting firm that's researching the impact of sanctions on Arab businesses. So these are just a few of the stories. There are dozens more. Every time I hop onto Facebook, I see that one of our alumni is doing something new that I didn't know they were working on. And frequently they're working across the border to bring other young people into these actions. So we bring the Middle East kids here, but our American kids really don't know very much about the region when they come into this program as a 15-year-old. And some of them might have been to Israel for a bar bat mitzvah. Some have family there. Some of them may have fled in 1948 or 1968 from Palestinian territory. But what we do is we take them back. This spring, we had a trip scheduled with 8 from Chicago and 8 from San Diego to go to the Middle East that had to be canceled because of COVID. But we do take trips there where they stay with Israeli and Palestinian families. They visit important historic and cultural sites, and they experience life as the Palestinians and Israelis experience it. And if you're intrigued at all by this concept of hearing many different voices when you travel, and as a Rotarians, I'm guessing you are, you can also join a multi-narrative tour of Israel and Palestine for American adults. And Rotarians Dick Stevens and his wife Lynn were just with us on a trip in March that changed every day because of COVID and changes in restrictions and borders and crossings, but they still had an amazing experience and met with a lot of incredible people who are working for peace in the region. The next trip is scheduled for September 2021, and I'm hoping that we're all traveling freely again by that time. I'm sure a lot of you have had to change some travel plans during this period. There are, Hands of Peace has really become an integral part of North County, but also San Diego County over the last 8 years. Of the 45 summer participants each year, 14 are Americans, some first year, some second year. And last year they came from 10 different schools. We have over 30 host families of all religions and some with no religion who welcome the Israelis and Palestinians into their homes. We have dozens of local restaurants, Rotary clubs, and families that donate food for the summer program, our farewell celebrations and spring benefits and auction items. And we have a number of interfaith partners who welcome the kids to come and actually speak in their services. And I can't tell you how powerful it is to see a Palestinian standing up on a bima in a Jewish temple speaking about their experience and vice versa. If you have a religious congregation that might be interested in inviting some of the youth to speak in your services, we would be open to that possibility. And of course, if your Rotary would like to hear from some alumni, we'd love to do that with you another time too. And then we have about 250 volunteers each year that make this all possible. We have a very small staff. We only have 3 in Chicago, 3 in San Diego, and 3 in the Middle East, our regional managers, plus our dialogue director there. What is the role for Rotary? Well, I've been really blessed to meet a lot of wonderful Rotary members over the years, this program. And we deeply value the Rotary connection because our values are so aligned. You're working for peace, we're working for peace. You integrate youth into as many of your activities as possible, and we're focused on youth. And that connection between the local and global is incredible, both in Rotary and in Hands of Peace. Because of your motto of service above self, many Rotarians do enjoy volunteering with us. The Encinitas Coastal Rotary provides a barbecue, for instance, at the opening beach bonfire. Clubs have brought lunches and met the kids during their lunch hours. And many take part in our educational events for community members, which we're doing by Zoom now, called Community Circles. Rotary has also supported Hands of Peace with a grant. We've had over 10 clubs that have donated over time and a district grant for the last several years, which has been very important to us. And while this summer's program has been canceled, there are many other ways to connect. We also presented at the Rotary World Peace Conference this year. And if you haven't attended, I understand there might not have been members from your club that attended. It's an amazing event where you'll hear about some incredible peace programs that Rotary is doing all over the world. And we met some great people there. One of them is Reem Gunayem, who is the head of the Rotary Action Group for Peace. And she has since joined our board. She does weekly interviews with Rotarians about their peace building work. And I encourage you to seek out those interviews if you can for the Rotary Action Group for Peace. As an individual, I invite you to get involved. You can always reach out to me from our website. You can sign up to get the mailing list that has all the events and the application dates if you know young people who are ages 14 to 16. We would welcome their applications for the next summer program. That usually the applications start coming in December, January. And I just want to thank you, as we've met Rotarians around the world, as we've talked to people at the clubs in Israel and Palestine, San Diego and Chicago, meeting with your international headquarters staff, I have never seen a group of people as committed to peace, to global understanding and awareness as you are as a group. And I want to thank you for being part of this movement, for improving the world in every single way that you can. So thank you. And I'd welcome your questions at this time. It might be hard for me to see you all at once, but I'm going to expand my page here so I can see as many hands as possible, or just unmute yourself and go ahead and ask a question.
I have a question. Can you tell us about the process for how students are selected?
Yes. It's very important to us that this be student driven. You know, sometimes a parent will call and say, I'd like to sign my child up for Hands of Peace. And by the time kids are 14, 15, 16, they really know what they're interested in to some extent. You know, they might know they're interested in international affairs. They might know that they're interested in dialogue, conflict resolution, or they just want to learn about other people, and they may not be able to travel to do that. So we have an application process where we ask the youth to apply, we interview them, and we do that in Israel and Palestine and here in the States. We have those regional managers for each delegation meet with each young person before they're selected. We don't want people who just want to come to the States to experience it. That's not the purpose, although occasionally someone comes with that in mind and they leave completely changed. And we don't want kids that are just doing this to beef up their resume for college. You know, there are much easier programs that someone can do if that's what they're interested in. This is challenging every day to sit in that dialogue, to hear things you may not want to hear, to really reflect on what your role is in the issues that different kids in the room are facing, and to really, really focus on how you can participate in making things better. So it's hard. The dialogue process is hard, but we have found that once kids have done it, once they've been through it every day for 3 weeks, they can do it in any situation. They can become peer counselors, they become church leaders, they become, you know, the kid in their friend group who makes sure that other kids don't get bullied. They're not afraid to stand up after that experience.
Diana, I'm curious, this reminds me of a program that occurred in Ireland back in the late 90s. Do you use any of the stats from what they were able to do with this similar program in Ireland that complements what you're doing here?
Yeah, we when Hands of Peace was founded, Gretchen Grad, who was a business person in Chicago, she was a trader, and just was struck by the need to do this. So she took a very business-like approach, and she went and she interviewed, you know, every other organization she could find that was doing youth dialogue. And one of the things that's a little bit different is the homestay. 3 weeks in an American household, frequently with someone who's also participating in the program, offers lifelong connections that you can use sort of as a touch point. You know, when there's a flare up in the Middle East, and I'll give you an example right now, the threat of annexation is really a huge, huge issue, both for our Jewish Israelis who care about human rights and also for the Palestinians who are seeing the potential loss of land that they considered to be a future state. This is really causing a lot of concern among our members. And I think the courts today just said that it was illegal. We don't know what that will mean. But we have found that if participants can reach out to an American family and say, I don't understand why the US is supporting us, and an American family can say, well, this is what our government is doing. Some people do support it, some people don't. What are you able to do? They can have a conversation back again with them, as our regional managers do. Who can you reach out to? Who could you write letters to? Who could you speak to? What can you do to have a positive impact now before the decision's final? And we're also very concerned that if something like that does happen, how are we going to keep our young people safe? We've worked with them a lot on nonviolence. We just did a seminar in January, I believe it was, where there was a whole workshop devoted to nonviolence and why nonviolence works better. And it has worked better in many of the situations where positive change has come about. How to do that in a way that you are heard, but you're safe and you don't endanger the lives of others. And, you know, these are things that are probably serving our American alumni well now, too.
great, great program. Thank you, Diana, so much. I've learned a lot. I'm sure we all have. And again, just like our opening song, this is a very timely program.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, peace is certainly something we all strive for and we all need, and it has seemed to elude us. But I think there's a lot of hope in our children, a lot of hope in our kids. So thank you for what you're doing. We really are grateful. And with that, I think we can go to our final thought for the week. A single sunbeam is enough to drive away many shadows. So let's all go out and be sunbeams this week and hope that we can have a positive impact on our communities.